Hi everyone, well I have a new review today and I'm reviewing a bottle from a distillery that I have never tried anything from. We're going to review Peerless Small Batch Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 108.9 proof. This is a barrel proof. This is serial number, as it says on here, 170626101. The distillery is Kentucky Peerless Distilling Company. Before I go on, I basically have seen these bottles here and there in stores. I've seen this straight bourbon whiskey. I've seen the straight rye whiskey. As a matter of fact, I think the straight rye whiskey actually was in the top 15 in Whiskey Advocate a few years back. But I've seen these bottles. They're generally, not always the cheapest. You see them, north of 70 or whatever, $70, but I've seen it at all prices. I am always amazed and impressed by the bottle itself, which I'll get to in a minute. It's very impressive and substantial. But as I researched this, I kind of was in the mood just to try something completely different from a distillery I have no knowledge of and have not tried anything from, and this kind of fit that bill. Picked this up in Wegmans by me. It's not a store pick, but they happen to have a nice selection. So basically, this distillery, this is a lot of history here. This distillery goes back to the 1880s, and there was a large period of time where this had shut down, and in 2014, this brand was reborn. I think like 2017, the first bottle was put in play. I think it was the rye, but we're talking basically 2014 to the present, where this brand, historic brand, was reborn. Some of the details with this is the following: the age, it is non-age stated, but it's basically at least 4 years old. The mash bill, also, there's some estimates on this from what I've seen. We're going to say the estimates on the corn range between 65 and 81%, rye somewhere between 10 and 20%, and the malted barley somewhere between 9 and 15%. I assume it may depend on the batches. I have seen other batches where maybe the proof was slightly different. But let's just call it in those ranges. A few interesting details with this is that this is using a sweet mash. You've heard of sour mash. Sour mash. This is a sweet mash process, meaning that that there's no backset that is used in the fermentation process. And the other interesting thing is that this, similar to like a Maker's Mark, they go in a relatively low barrel entry proof. This goes in, I believe, at about 107 proof. And you'll notice that the proof that it's bottled at is 108, so there was not much change there. But a bottle, the maximum allowable entry proof of the, that the liquid can go into the barrel at is 125 proof. So this is way below that at 107. I think that's, some of the charm of this, and that I know that a lot of distilleries use that as an effort to have, I guess, the best quality whiskey that they feel. So this goes in at 107. It is then blended. After it matures, it is blended in small batches. It is non-chill filtered, and then it is bottled at barrel proof. So this barrel proof, again, this is 108.9 proof. I mean, barrel proofs can be, you've seen some that are 120, 130. This is I'd call this a relatively low barrel proof, similar to what I say, when you say the Maker's Mark also. That's in the 109, 110, 111, similar ranges like that. So that's just some of the details. And the one last thing I do want to mention is that when this distillery was reborn in 2014, they were able to keep their same Kentucky Distilling Spirits plant number of DSP-KY-50. A lot of history. And just before we crack this open, I'm going to kind of put the camera on this bottle. This is a heavy, very beautiful, very substantial bottle, both in the design, the glass, the heaviness, and I think the cork feels very substantial. And I know that this was a major. There was a lot of detail put into this, and to me, it looks basically like a barrel. Very, very nice. This is a very, very nice bottle. So let me spin the camera around, crack it open, and then we're going to get inside and see what we got going on. You can see the front of this. You can see that DSPKY-50 that I mentioned. You see all the details, the proof. See the serial number there? That's an interesting thing they do. Let's look at the back. There's the back with the details. Non-chill filtered, strictly sweet mash. No water added and barrel proof. Let's get this open. And I think you see the signature of the original owner, Henry Craver. up there. Okay, well, that was a nice cork pop, but even better, this is a very heavy cork. It's what I thought. This entire bottle, this cork, I mean, this has weight to it. There's some, I'm sure the glass, the cork, the design, as I said, as I read, there's a lot of attention was paid to this. It's very impressive. So let's see if the liquid inside is just as impressive. I've heard great things about this already. Let's give this a nose. That's very, very, very nice. Certainly not an ethanol smell. I'm getting a, it's kind of as I'm getting caramel. I am getting a little bit, you know, I was kind of, I had read something about some tobacco. There is a tobacco smell in this one. I kind of thinking of the Elijah Craig B, what was it, the B524, and there was just reminded me of that just now. But there is caramel. It's a very pleasant. You know, it's 108.9 proof. It's not ethanol. It's very. I noticed it as soon as I opened this. I did get that caramel, tobacco. You know, a little bit of vanilla. But let's see what the palate tastes like. Cheers. That's very, very good. Very interesting. I'm getting everything from sweet to spice. I am indeed getting that tobacco, very similar to that one tasting note. I've not seen that in a lot of stuff I've tasted, but I did get this. Reminds me of the B524 in that regard. But outside of that, I am definitely getting rye spice. So the ranges that I said that I read about of 10 to 20%, I would definitely say this is on the higher end of that range. This is not 10% rye. I think that this would be closer to the 20, certainly higher in that range. On the flip side, I am still getting sweetness, so, you know, the corn is somewhere in that range, but I think the rye, there's more rye in that 10 to 20%. I would guess closer to 20. I am getting different types of almost, you know, I'm thinking almost like some dessert-like flavors, like even like I don't know, like a marshmallow, but vanilla caramel certainly. There is definitely a mixture of some sweet, you know, dessert-like tastes. There is a mixture of some spice with the rye, definitely tobacco. It's a nice mixture of sweet and spice. And a nice, I mean, 108 proof, I think it drinks that for sure. I think it's a nice finish. It's not overpowering, but very, very, very nice legs. You can see, I think you can see the legs. And by the way, the color is just really some nice color for something that it's not age stated. They say it's at least 4 years. So, you know, if you're saying that, I'm certainly not thinking it's 10 years. Could be 4, could be 5. I think there's some really nice color on that. Is it worth, that price? That's debatable. I think this is really, really good. I think everybody who said this is 100% right. This drink's so nice. I think it is worth the price tag. I mean, in that range, without getting too crazy, you know, as far as other places having it higher. I could see, now, just one more note to this, I could see that this probably is a higher rye, because I think their other one obviously is a rye. So I think they certainly use maybe a little bit of a higher rye in this bourbon. So in summation, this is excellent. This is really good. I'm going to definitely enjoy this. Have more comments as we work our way through this bottle. Cheers. Take care. Thanks for watching.